Okay, good evening and welcome to our last meeting of July. It is a little less hot than it was last week, and hopefully that will continue. The invocation tonight will be given by Councilman Matt Harbin, and I will lead us in respect to the flag. Please rise.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, I'm thankful that we live in a free country, and I pray for our management staff, our city employees, our fire and our police, and this council, that you help us make good decisions, and you protect us, and you protect our families. I pray for our citizens, and I pray for their families and their safety and health, and I pray for unity in our city, unity in our country, unity in our state, and unity in our city. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to the body of our meeting tonight, we have a special recognition of Mae Boston Scott, one of our long-term employees that has decided to retire. And I'm going to ask Lisa Holden and Ms. McEwen to come up and lead us in that presentation.
Lisa's going to give some remarks, and May, you want to come on up?
She don't mind me. We're here tonight to honor and celebrate this faithful and dedicated employee. She's been with the city for 35 years. Thank you. She's been with the city for 35 years, and she's dedicated her time, her skills, her passion to our team, and she's leaving a lasting impact on every one of us. May, your hard work and commitment, positive spirit have been an inspiration to us all, and I want you to know that I truly appreciate everything that you've done for myself and for the city. Your many years of experience and superior customer service will be truly missed. We do wish you the best of luck in your retirement and hope you enjoy it.
Great job, Lisa.
May, congratulations to you. I want to say a few words just from our city council and our city leadership that not too often do we have the opportunity to bring a team member up here and do this. And for 35 years, your commitment to the city as a public servant and what that means. And so much that you've seen the city change and go through changes and grow. And I know there's been a lot of that. There was some transition even with collecting business license and doing different tasks there. But I want to thank you so much for, as a public servant, as a fellow team member, for your full dedication, a full career with the city of Anderson. That's a huge accomplishment. I know there's so much of us that other team members that we look forward to an opportunity such as that and giving a full career to the city. With that, as a small token of our appreciation, on behalf of the City Council and our leadership team, in appreciation for 35 years of loyal and dedicated service to the City of Anderson, we present you with this plaque.
First, giving honor to God, who's the head of my life. I thank all of you, especially thank my family for being here with me. And Lisa, thank you so much. I love all of you.
So the minutes of our July 8th minute have been distributed electronically. Are there any questions, also in your packet, are there any questions or corrections to the minutes of July 8th? Not hearing any, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
First by Mr. Newton, second by Dr. Thompson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of July 8th pass unanimously. We have 3 items of old business, and the first item of old business is request consideration of an ordinance to rezone 10 acres located at 110 Fairway Green from RM10 multifamily residential to a PDD, which is a planned development district. Ms. McEwen.
Okay, thank you. These items come back to you from the Planning Commission, and with that, Maurice McKenzie, Planning Development Director, will go over these items.
Okay, thank you. 2 years ago, you saw this property come before you. It was zoned R20, single-family residential, and at the time, the property was rezoned to RM10, multifamily residential, and it consists of 10 acres. And at the time, the applicant was planning on building some sort of multifamily development. Since that time, it's the same applicant. He has further refined his plans, and he's now wishing to build a townhouse community on individual lots. Now, with the RM10 multifamily standards, it requires a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet for each townhouse unit. And over the past few years, that square footage really doesn't work for the product that we see being constructed today. As a matter of fact, we've seen several townhouse developments come before you, and they all come in as a PDD, Planned Development District, because it allows them to have more flexibility in terms of the lot size, and that's the main reason. What we're seeing these days with lot sizes for townhouses are in that 2,000 to 2,500 square foot range. So you can see a big difference than what the RM10 guidelines allow. So that's what's coming before you tonight. In your packet, you do have a PDD document, and it does state that a maximum of 80 townhouse units will be constructed. And actually, under the current zoning of RM10, you could build up to 100 multifamily units. So this will actually be less dense than what the current zoning would allow. The units will be a minimum of 1,500 square feet. There will be sidewalks, and the landscaping will comply with the city's tree preservation and landscaping guidelines. We'll see street trees every 40 feet along the street as well. So that's what's coming before you tonight. It did go before Planning Commission, like the city manager mentioned. They did recommend approval of it. So it's coming before you tonight on first reading.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Ms. Roberts, Jeff?
Several things caught my eye. We try to eliminate long straight rows, and that's pretty much what I see when I look at this preliminary plat. So I was going to suggest traffic calming measures, whether they're some curvature to the road, maybe some, I think they call them bulb outs or choke points, one or the other, to potentially calm that traffic. I see also where the little cul-de-sac street where it comes in is pointing directly right into the front doors of that second from last unit, which we try to avoid that situation where we can. I also noticed that, we try to provide open spaces in intervals. Not only does that just help break it up, but it provides another benefit. If you were to walk out of one unit and you were walking up the street, which I think is 1,000 something feet long, if you wanted to get out of that and go to a green space, there's nowhere to get out. So I would also recommend another interval or two of the green space separating the units. But those are just a couple. I'm not opposed to the townhome development, but I think there's some improvements that could be made.
Any other questions, comments?
I guess one more question. The preliminary plat, the plat approval will go back before Planning Commission.
That's correct.
Is there a chance we could see some improvements before second reading?
I was checking to see if the applicant is in attendance, and I don't see them.
Okay.
But that's something we can certainly pass along.
I would either recommend holding off on first reading, or if we could make first reading contingent upon seeing a revised plat before we go on.
Yeah. I can, I think that's reasonable. We can approve it, based on those 3 items. I guess a question, I mean, I know that we have baked into a lot of our development, our tree ordinance and landscaping guidelines. With these type of developments, I guess the end goal is to have this already built into our documents, and we're getting close to that.
Real
right?
close.
Okay, good. So, having said that, if we can, your motion is to, or did you make a
I gave it
motion?
an either or. Mr. John Roberts, what
You
was
good?
your
Did
nod?
you?
You know, I support his comments for us to be able to see the plat and/or postpone the first reading, so, but I think we can take whatever planning or administration.
Well, in
I
that
would,
case-
I would say, since they're not here, the applicant, and that's a little bit more review, I say we just postpone, continue the item, and not vote on it for first reading, just continue the item. And that way it just doesn't put us in the time constraint between first and second reading either, if they need some time to get back to us.
And this, and again, this is the original developer, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So, I would, see head nods on postpone.
I move that we postpone.
We have a first,
One second.
second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This item is postponed. Our second item of old business is request consideration of an ordinance to annex and zone the R5 single-family residential, approximately 139 acres located at 604A East Shockley Ferry Road. Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you. Again, this is an annexation request coming before you tonight, and in your packet, you will see some conceptual drawings of the proposed layout for the subdivision, but the applicant is proposing to construct a 253-lot, single-family subdivision on the property. Again, it's 139.5 acres, located just off of Shockley Ferry. They wish to receive city services, and it is contiguous to the city limits. Therefore, we have the ability to annex the property. And they are requesting R5, single-family residential zoning, because those zoning standards will meet their lot specifications. And also keep in mind that the city's landscaping and tree preservation requirements will be in effect. So that definitely helps outline the design for the project. And in your packet also, again, there's some conceptual drawings and maps, but with this being R5 single-family residential, it's a conventional zoning, but I'll go over some details per the conceptual plan, and when the staff has been meeting with the applicant, we've talked about. And again, it's single-family detached units only, 253 lots. Typical lot size is just over 7,000 square feet, and the R5 guidelines would require a minimum of 5,000, so these are larger than what would initially be required in R5. There is a 50-foot residential buffer along East Shockley Ferry Road, a landscaped area. 49% of the property will be undisturbed tree canopy area, and the requirements are 20%, so it exceeds that. We've worked with the applicant. You can see on the conceptual plan where the original homestead is on the property. There's a cluster of significant trees around that. They are planning to save that and use it as a neighborhood park, similar to what we saw at Cayfield Farms off of Midway Road. It was a similar situation. Actually, this may have more trees than that. There will be street trees planted at every 40 feet, sidewalks on both sides of the road, and going back to what Mr. Roberts was talking about with the previous request, they do show 15 to 20 foot wide breaks throughout the subdivision to reduce those long stretches of lots and to provide some open space areas. And the setbacks are 20-foot front yard, and it'll be set back enough where there would not be vehicles overhanging over the sidewalks or the streets. 6.5-foot side yard setback and a rear setback of 10 feet. So once this is annexed, we will continue to move forward with a preliminary plat, ultimately plans being submitted to the staff for review to ensure that all the guidelines, including tree preservation, are met. One other thing I wanted to mention is that a traffic impact study was conducted for the site, and we received that a few days ago. And essentially what it said in a nutshell is that this development will create minimal impacts and that no changes are really recommended. But one thing they did mention, and it's something that we have been requiring throughout, is that they're requesting 2 points of egress out of the subdivision and 1 ingress. So that's something we would require per this study. Again, like I said, it said no changes are recommended. I did talk to the applicant about this, and they are willing to go above and beyond what the traffic impact study states. They would be willing to put in some sort of right turn decel lane into the subdivision. And again, I don't want to put words in the applicant's mouth. He's here, so if you have any questions about that, we can certainly bring him up. Also, there may be other folks here tonight that may want to talk about this request as well. But again, this comes to you tonight on first reading. It did go before Planning Commission last week, and they recommended approval.
Thank you. Let's do any public. Does anybody from the audience want to come speak on this project? Do we have any questions for the developer? Anybody?
I have
Ms.
a
Harvey?
quick question for Mr. McKenzie. I'm fairly familiar with this property. Don't we have a sewer line that goes down? Does this piece of property go on the other side of the sewer line and the creek? I think the river's right there too.
Yeah, it's my understanding that it goes kind of through the property or near the property, and then we're working some things out regarding the who will be the provider for that. So you're right, it is in that general area.
And I think we have a line that goes right down the back of it on that river. And I think this piece goes on the other side of the river. I'm not exactly sure.
May have to find Scott Banks, if he's still here, to provide more information about that.
I'm here, but I'm not looking at the map. I'm not 100% certain.
Okay.
There's a sewer line that does run about behind
It's
there.
in that area, yeah.
And then it goes outside of our sewer district, into the Homeland Park Water Sewer Authority, which the back part of this does too, and that's something we'll take a look at in whole. And I'll say then, it's adjacent, of course, to the city-owned property, New Silverbrook Cemetery and Memorial Stadium. And it seems like, when you just look at the map here, this is isolated kind of development. It's just not, on the other side of the city's property and back behind Memorial Stadium and on that side, there's a good bit of residential development grading happening right now. This is really kind of filling that in because that's already happening a little bit farther out there.
If we were to annex that property, what district or what seat would that be in?
That would come into Mr. Stewart's seat.
Correct.
Any other questions, comments?
In looking at this, there's another development kind of right down river, correct, that's happening? Because I saw
Yeah.
PDD.
Oh, it's continuing on the river. Yes, sir. That was annexed about 3 years ago. It's a townhouse proposal. Has not been constructed yet.
Has not been constructed. So do we, in looking at this development and then that proposed development, is there enough coverage for city services to be able to service all these new constituents?
Yes, so we've been planning this area for quite a time, and we actually have a very good presence in this area and response time in this area because the road network's vast, and so we're able to do that. And the future, as we continue to build out further that way, though, we have identified that we would plan on building a Station 5 fire station at some point in the future out there.
Okay.
And plus, I would think Public Works and police are planning for this type of.
We are. We've been, and that's something that over the past year, Public Works, we were able to create great efficiency by spreading out and even out the cars that we had in each route, and that's just been an enormous success. And so we've created a lot of efficiency there, and now we have more capacity with our own crews and what we have to put more carts out there, more homes to be able to serve it.
Ms. Roberts?
I was waiting on my fellow council members to make their comments, but I would be 100% in favor of a right-hand decel lane if you're familiar with that stretch of road, the speed limit is 35, but I challenge you to do 35 on that road and not get run over. So a decel, right-hand decel exit lane would be, I think, just for pure safety, be a great idea. I know you said there's a traffic study done. Also, someone mentioned the Rocky River Creek, and I think I highlighted where it goes, and it's on the very back side of this property. So my question is to the developer, are there opportunities for trails back there or connectivity to even further parcels, you know, maybe city-owned or back toward River Street, just for a continuation of a trail system? And I know there's potentially some sewer right-of-ways that could be part of that. But just, is there an opportunity for connectivity via trails? And I think it'd be a great idea to open that space up for it.
Yeah. The applicant stated that they would certainly be willing to look into that with us to find opportunities.
This amount of property eventually require a fire station, David.
In the future, not now, but in the future, we would plan, as all these developments build up out here, to have another station out there.
Mr. Mayor, I mean,
Mr. Corbin?
I'm fairly familiar with this property. I think it's, you know, I don't know the developers or who bought it, but I mean, I think it's some of the prettiest property, you know, adjacent to the city. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of property. And you know, I'm happy that we have a tree ordinance in place, because there are some massive trees on that. And, you know, I'm not sure, by looking at all this, I'm not like Mr. Roberts that can look at pictures of lots and everything and envision what it looks like, but it's certainly, with the land that's there, I mean, it's an awesome piece of property. So with that, I'd make a motion that we approve this on first reading, annexing it into the city.
We have a first by Mr. Harbin,
Second.
second by Dr. Thompson. I'll open it up for further discussion.
Are we incorporating what Councilman Roberts indicated about the right turn egress requirement?
I think Mr. McKenzie said that the developers were good with.
That's correct. They're willing to construct a decel lane of some sort on the right turn in, so we can work with them to make sure that happens.
Yes. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously on the first reading. Our next item of old business is request consideration of an ordinance to rezone 710 West Malden Street from R5 single-family residential to RM10 multifamily residential. Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The applicant seeks to rezone the property from R5 to RM10 in order to construct a duplex on the site. The lot is about 15,000 square feet in size, so it's larger than most of the lots in that general vicinity on the northern side of Malden Street. And the lot's large enough, square footage-wise, to build 2 single-family houses on the property, and that's what the applicant originally wanted to do. However, requirements in R5 district states that lots must be 50 feet in width, and the lot right now is 94 feet, so they are 6 feet shy of being able to subdivide it to build 2 houses. Therefore, they would like to come and rezone the property in order to build a duplex on the site so they could yield 2 dwelling units. And you can see in your location map and the zoning map included in your packet, but the property falls along a transition area between R5 zoning and RM10 zoning, West Malden Street being that boundary, generally speaking, in that area. To the south, across the street, you have a multifamily development, Friendship Court. It's zoned RM10 multifamily residential. That's directly across the street. And then properties on either side of this subject lot are zoned R5 single-family residential. So you have some varying zoning in the area, but again, it's kind of in a transition area between that R5 and RM10 zoning. This did go before Planning Commission last week. They did recommend approval of it, and their points for supporting it for the fact that the rezoning would not negatively impact the area because it's already a transition zone between single-family and multifamily. And as I mentioned earlier, the lot is larger than most of the other lots in that general area, so it could better support a duplex more so than something that would be, say, 5,000 square feet in size. And also, the rezoning would encourage new infill development in this area. So that was the recommendation coming from the Planning Commission. And again, this is coming before you tonight on first reading.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
So this is at the edge of my district. I think this is an area that really could use a lot of infill development and redevelopment. And we've had that redevelopment across the street from this property at Friendship Court with the recent renovations there. With the duplex, I think it makes a lot of sense with the lot size, but I think the way that duplexes are designed now, there's ways, when I think of a duplex, I think of a traditional, kind of brick side by side. It's a long kind of flat building with, one residence on one side, one on the other. But I know I've seen some different developments and duplexes that fill in with the neighborhood character a little more. I think of it may even be a quadplex that's over kind of behind Cater Street, in between Greenville Street and in that neighborhood that I've driven by that I know is a multifamily, but it really kind of matches the neighborhood feel. So it would be one of those things where I would hope that we as the city could work with the developer to ensure that any design matches the character of the rest of the neighborhood.
Absolutely. I can pass that along to the applicant. Unfortunately, they could not be here tonight. They contacted me. Oh, you're here. Very good. I'm sorry. They're here, but they heard you. So perhaps you want to add to that?
Definitely, yeah, we will. We haven't designed a plan for that since we're waiting on this zoning to be complete, but we definitely will take that into account.
Thank you.
Good.
I have some questions.
Stepped all over you, yeah.
I haven't driven by this week, but I think a week or two ago, there's something being constructed already. Is it? That's not on this lot, is it? There's a pad that's been graded and
No, that's a block up.
it's a block up. Okay. All right.
And that's been there
It's been
for a year or so.
Yeah.
And I think that's a single family, or would be single
That's
family.
what I was just wondering if it changed after the fact. So.
Good question. Any other comments, questions?
I would move we approve this request to rezone the property.
Second.
We have first by Mr. Steele, second by Dr. Thompson. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously on the first reading. Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. We'll move on to the new business portion of the agenda. We've got 6 items, and the first item is a referral to the Planning Commission, a petition to rezone 307 Concord Road from R15 Single Family Residential to NC Neighborhood Commercial.
Can't get rid of me tonight.
Yeah, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Again, this is a referral coming before you tonight. It's 307 Concord Road. The request is to rezone it from R15 Single Family to NC Neighborhood Commercial. Just to give you a little background on it. But first of all, they're looking to rezone really the front portion of the property because it's a lot that goes all the way down to Pine Lane. So it wouldn't be prudent to rezone the entire lot at this time. And the applicant was agreeing to that. So approximately the first 200 feet in depth, they wish to rezone it to neighborhood commercial so it can be used for commercial purposes in the future and initially for food trucks and food trailers. Right now, we don't have any city guidelines necessarily for food trucks, but the city's policy is to allow food trucks in zoned areas on private lots that are zoned for restaurant uses. And the least intensive restaurant use zoning is NC Neighborhood Commercial. So that's what they're asking for now. And also that will give them some flexibility in the future as this property develops with something more permanent. So that's the request coming before you is NC Neighborhood Commercial. And you can see on in your map in packet that the Concord Road corridor between Main Street and Cal Rossi, there's a variety of zoning classifications through there. It's a hodgepodge of things ranging from general commercial to RM10 multifamily. You have the R15 single family. You've got neighborhood commercial close by, which is the requested rezoning here. You've got neighborhood professional and also limited office, and also light industrial. There's a parcel in there, zone that as well. So you've got quite a mix in just a few block areas. So, so with that being said, this is just giving you some background information on it, but it will go to the Planning Commission on August 6th upon your referral.
Thank you. Any questions before it goes to Planning Commission?
Now, would this be currently non-conforming?
Currently, there's a commercial building on the site, but it's not occupied right now with a business. So if there was a business in there, it would be non-conforming right now. But what's being proposed is a coffee shop right now. It's not operational until the property is rezoned.
This is my area, I drive that every day, it's in my area. I'm not opposed to it by any means, but that is a very eclectic mixture of stuff right there. And especially, we got Whataburger coming now, we got the do-it-yourself pest control store, we got the car wash, there's a lot of different things.
There's another restaurant coming in.
Yeah, Pizza from Concord, there's another restaurant, so I just want to make sure, which again, I'm fine, I'll make the motion when it's time to send it to Planning Commission, but I do want to make sure it's all kind of lined up pretty good, because you don't want that area to get too wild, or I'm worried about traffic. There's a lot of stuff in that area, so again, I know Planning Commission will look at it. With that, I'll make the motion to send it to Planning Commission.
Now, first by Mr. Newton.
Second.
Second by Mr. Horban. Any further discussion?
I want to ask about food truck policy. What is the food truck policy?
Our policy for food trucks right now is we will allow them on privately owned lots if they're zoned neighborhood commercial or general commercial.
On private property?
Yes.
I know they're getting very popular now.
They are. Yeah, we see them a lot around town.
Good. Any other questions, comments?
Would this, kind of piggybacking on that, is there, because there's a difference between having one versus having 5 food trucks on a property. If the way this is zoned, is it limit? Would there be a limitation?
Not really with our policy. It doesn't, we just say you can have a food truck on a commercially zoned piece of property. We don't have the standards that say how many to dictate the amount.
But the other part is, a food truck means that it can come and it has to go, right?
Yes, and that's one thing we see, that sometimes we have to kind of prod some folks along, because it is a temporary use.
Yeah.
So that's one thing it would need to be temporary. Now, if it was rezoned and the coffee shop was somehow to make the building or trailer, whatever, more permanent, then it could be a permanent use area, they could stay long-term. That's something we will have to be talking to the applicant about.
Talk to the property owners, because I think we rezoned, where that barber shop is several years ago.
2017, it was zoned to limited office.
Right,
Yes.
because I remember when we did that, and I know they put up a sign about, no turnaround traffic and stuff, because I think as people access this parcel sometimes and exit there, so I know there's neighbors to be conscientious of too.
Yeah.
With that, so.
It has been a lot of stuff. I think the Chick-fil-A office building used to be there, and so it's been a lot of things. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously to the Planning Commission. Thank you, Ms. McKenzie. You can sit. Our next item of new business is request consideration of a change order for Fire Station 1 roof and envelope project. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you. This has been our capital model, this project for Anderson Fire Station 1, just behind us, downtown station, for roof replacement and envelope planned capital project. We did have a project briefing at 5:15 as a work session just prior to this for this item and the following item on the agenda, where we heard from Daniel Atwell. He's with WM Building Envelope Consultants. He gave a presentation, an overview of the project in great detail, and Rhonda White, working with her architect from DP3. Same team that has completed City Hall, complete re-roof, envelope repair, NBC building, complete envelope repair there, And then most recently, completing right now the recreation complex, the full repairs there, re-roofing, envelope repairs. And so we have a team together there, still under contract with CE Bourne. And this before you is a change order request to continue with CE Bourne under the construction manager at risk with a pricing contract of $814,000. $735. I will say that it has allowances in there under this process. So, and the recreation complex, for example, there were allowances, and we had $61,000 come back to us. And so you provide those allowances because there's some unknowns of quantities and so forth when they have to give their guaranteed maximum price. Also, if there was anything identified during the project that becomes efficient, which there typically is and has been on these projects, we would split that 50% from the contractor to the city. So if there was a savings there that they see something that may not need to be done or could be done a different way, and those savings, we would receive that. On the allowances, though, we receive 100% savings, and that's where the majority of your money comes back. So probably won't be your final project. I'd see that we would have allowances come back on this project. Again, this is a strategic goal of ours. It's pursuing the long-term infrastructure projects to include maintaining, preserving, and investing in city buildings. We do have active leaks at Anderson Fire Station 1 on two different sides. And then we have the original or old roof structure. So with this project, it includes low slope roofing, metal roofing repairs, the building envelope, wet glazing the windows, repairs there, and painting it to the same color and texture as City Hall and the ABC building. That will bring the blocks together as far as the aesthetic. With that, I know there was a lot of detail that we went over, but we'll answer any more questions that you may have. And we recommend this to you as a change order with CE Bourne.
Thank you, sir. We did have the work session and a lot of good questions by the firms that are helping us on this building. But are there any additional comments, questions?
Just wanted to clarify from the work session, this is within what kind of we expected as far as budgeting, correct?
Yes, so we actually had 600,000 to 800,000 was our budget range for that, and planned capital fund balance used for that has been there for quite a while in our capital model. So that is correct. It's on the higher end at the moment, but because we build in some more allowances though.
Any other comments, questions? Not hearing any, have a motion.
I make a motion, Mayor, that we approve this.
Have a first by Mr. Harbin.
I'll second.
Second by Dr. Thompson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Our next item is request consideration of an engineering contract for the Main Street Waterline project, again discussed within the open work session. Mr. McEwen?
Yeah, just a quick overview. We did go over it in detail in the work session. This is for the engineering piece to the water line for Main Street ahead of the anticipation and budgeted planned capital project of paving Main Street. So identifying the utilities that we have underground, and there's quite a lot of them. We identified that there would be the need to replace the water line, so we're doing that and planning for that and budgeting for it in anticipation of paving Main Street following the completion of this project. So the engineering is with KCI Engineers. They are on call with us and do a lot of water work with us for $125,000 for the engineering. We do recommend moving ahead with them. If there's any questions, Scott or I can answer those for you.
Thank you. Again, any additional questions outside the work session?
Maybe one. Mr. Banks, this is looks like a comprehensive proposal. It is for engineering services, design, specs, bidding, construction,
Yes, sir.
oversight, everything.
Admin during the construction project as well, yes, sir.
So we don't foresee any additional cost on the engineering side?
Not from engineering, no, sir.
Any other questions?
There's a few things that's frustrating is paving a road and then having to come back and chop it up afterwards. So
very glad we're doing on the front end, so I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a first by Mr. Newton, second by Mr. Steele. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Banks. Our fourth item of new business is request consideration of a resolution authorizing the City of Anderson to reimburse certain expenditures made prior to issuance of a equipment capital lease purchase not exceeding $2,710,000. Ms. McEwen?
Thank you. This is really us moving into the new budget year and moving forward with our plans from the budget that was put in before you and adopted by City Council to move forward with financing and funding the equipment that was included with the budget. With that, Ms. Mario Martin, our Chief Financial Officer, will go over this and what's required so we can move forward.
Thank you. So City Council approved an equipment resolution for the fire truck portion of this lease in October of 2022 for an amount not to exceed $1.5 million. The truck is currently still on track to be delivered this fall, October, November of 2024. At the time of the October 22 resolution, we had planned on issuing a capital equipment lease for that purchase this fall. So as part of our budget process, both the sewer and public works divisions had equipment needs, and working with our financial advisor, David Cheatwood, at First Tryon, we are going to combine all three of these divisions into one capital lease to be issued in November of 2024. Tonight, we are just requesting that council approve adding public works and sewer to the capital lease and to issue an expense reimbursement resolution for those capital costs incurred prior to our actual capital lease closing, not to exceed the $2.7 million. This resolution will allow the sewer and capital replacement funds to be reimbursed for any expenses incurred prior to the final financing and closing of the lease. Once the funding is completed in November of 2024, the estimated debt service payments are, for the sewer department, would be $302,000 a year for 5 years, and for the public works equipment, $226,850 for 7 years. The debt service payments will begin in the fall of 2025, which is our next fiscal year. These debt service payments obviously are estimated, and we will come back before council at the October 14th meeting for first reading on the debt ordinance for the capital lease. So tonight we are requesting approval of Resolution 2406, authorizing the city to reimburse certain expenditures made prior to the issuance of the capital lease.
Thank you. Pretty straightforward, but somewhat complicated. Any questions or comments? This is something that we're very familiar with over the last few years, so nothing?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to move forward with this resolution.
We have a first by Mr. John Roberts.
Second.
Second by Mr. Newt. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Our fifth item of new business is request consideration and purchase equipment for the Public Works Division. You can tell it's the first part of the year here.
It's time to buy equipment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, the strategic goal is to ensure sustainable growth by improving and enhancing the services provided, as well as saving time and money in the performance of various operations within the city. With that, we're buying state-of-the-art equipment for our public services as needed. And this goes along with the reimbursement resolution that we just did, the reimbursement resolution that was just passed. We have a good list here. With that, I know Kim Molenatz, Public Works Director, is here to go through that and has brought some experts along as well. So, Mr. Molenatz.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. McEwen. Mayor, Council, tonight we are requesting
Consideration of capital equipment purchases. These are items that were discussed with the budget for actually 23-24 and then 24-25. In your package, you should have received a summary of these items, and I'll briefly go through each of these real quickly and answer any questions that you may have regarding these items and the quotes. The first item is a 2024 F550 diesel wrecker. This will be used in the Fleet Maintenance Department. This will be replacing a 2013 550 with 220,000 miles. The recommendation there is to purchase from Atlanta Wrecker Sales out of Chesney, South Carolina, in the amount of $141,450. The second item is a wheel loader with a 4-in-1 bucket. This is the tractors that you see that are servicing the debris throughout on the routes, daily routes throughout the city. The recommendation here is from Old Stone Tractor in Anderson. We did get a quote from a state contract, but we were able to get a cheaper price from Old Stone. And this is on an articulating New Holland W80C tractor there. The third item is a Mack with a Cummins diesel. This is a dump body truck, this flat body dump truck that we use to pull around our orange trailers to load the debris, the roadside debris there. And the recommendation there is to purchase from Florence Truck Center out of Florence, South Carolina, in the amount of $129,827. This is similar to the trucks that we approved back, I think, in January. We actually just received the first Mack truck of that, which we're excited about. It took us 3 years to get, not the Mack, but if you recall, the council orders that we had. So we went and picked that up last week, and just from driving it and seeing it, we think we're going to be very happy with that truck. The fourth item, or actually two items here, are going to be 2 automated side loader garbage trucks. In addition to our fleet there, the recommendation here is to purchase from Florence Truck Center. These will be CNG trucks. If you recall, a couple of years ago, we purchased 2 CNG and our first 2 CNG. We have CNG Transit, which is compressed natural gas run vehicles. And we had some of those in transit. We tried them out with the garbage trucks and have had really good success with those vehicles. And speaking with our Chris Conwell, our sanitation manager, and as well as Sean Mize with our fleet department, we've had very good success with those. So a recommendation there is to purchase 2 more of those compressed natural gas. Of course, we fuel those at our Spink station out on 28, so we're very blessed to have a fueling station for those trucks. I think the average price on that's about $1.40 a gallon for those trucks when you run them. Change the oil in them, things like that. You can't even tell the oils is even, or the filters have even been used. So, but anyway, that's the recommendation there for $804,000 for the Florence Truck Center for those 2 vehicles. The last item under the capital lease purchases would be the aerial platform lift. This would be used in the signal and sign department. And this truck would be replacing a 1997 Isuzu. It's a little different than a boom truck, but it allows for 2 persons to be in the truck. So if they're working overhead on the signals, they're able to put 2 people in there that can work together with holding the signals and things like that. So it gives us a lot of flexibility there. We have 3 quotes there. The one that we're recommending is a Versalift from Versalift Southeast out of Graham, North Carolina. This is it's a demo model with approximately, it'll have 3,200 miles on it. But it gives us the difference between the one that you see, that's a new one with the main difference from lift aloft there for 177. This particular truck, it allows you to reach out with the boom, and it gives you more articulating ability with the platform. It's readily available to us now to purchase. We really like that vehicle there for that, and then the purchase amount on that is, I need to make a change on that one. It was $175, but they did not include the sales tax, so it would be $175,500 there. So we have a $500 cap on our vehicles like that. So, and then the last item is this would be purchased from the stormwater. It's a street sweeper. This would be in addition to the street sweeper that we have now. We use these street sweepers to clean the curb and gutters. We've also have the ability now to use herbicides in those street sweeper that we can spray for the grass that helps with our trimming and things like that. So we're able to hit those with our herbicides. We're really fine tuning that and doing, so when we make sweeps we're not just cleaning the curb and gutter, but we also were able to spray herbicide right on that curb there to kind of keep that grass down that grows. You'll see right in the gutter line there. The recommendation there is to purchase from Vacutech Rentals and Sales out of Austell, Georgia, in the amount of $362,150. And with that, I will entertain any questions that you may have about these items.
Thank you, Mr. Monette. Just a comment, several replacements, but we're growing the fleet, right?
Sir?
We're growing the
Yes, sir,
fleet
we are.
vehicles
Some
and
of it
equipment.
we will replace.
Several replacements.
Yes, sir. And especially those items that are with major issues, whether it comes to an engine or whether it be a transmission, things like that. But yes, sir, it will grow some, and it mostly in sanitation because of the expansions and and things that we'll need to expand our routes.
Good. Questions, comments? Ms. Harvey?
Can anyone that replacements that's fit to be sold to someone who might buy them?
Yes, ma'am, we will put those on Gov Deals, and for example, the wrecker, we will put that on Gov Deals. We would not have a need for a second wrecker. We will put those on Gov Deals, and we would expect to do pretty well with a used wrecker like that. So, but we
You'll
do.
be selling some of those older ones.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harvey?
Real quick, two quick things. The orange containers you talked about, do we have an idea, since we got you here, when we were gonna upgrade any of those, or?
Yeah, we have rebuilt some of those, and we plan to, some of those you bang them up pretty good on top, which is probably maybe what you're talking about, referring to there. We have a method where we can put metal on top of there and weld metal across the top of it so that it will, and as a matter of fact, when we do get a new orange container, we do that now because we know that it's going to get hit when we're dropping it down in the bucket there. So
It's impossible for the guy to see it when
Yes, sir.
when he's dumping it. I mean,
that's right.
it's crazy. And then the second thing on the aerial platform lift number 5.
Yes, sir.
Is Andrew gonna be able to use that to put Christmas lights up?
Absolutely. We'll train him.
In the cold weather.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
First by Mr. Harvey,
Second.
second by Dr. Thompson. Further discussion, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Mullinax.
Thank you for the equipment, appreciate it.
The last item of new business is request consideration to purchase vehicles for the police department. Chief?
Yes, sir. This is very cut and straightforward. These are 5 basic plain Dodge Chargers. They will go for our fleet to the patrol division. Nothing special. The only thing out of the ordinary this year, we did receive a quote from Jackie Jones Dodge over in Georgia. These are on the Georgia state contract, and they were actually $3,140 cheaper than the South Carolina contract. So very fortunate. They had a few remaining on the lot, and they're this year's model, but they are new cars.
Good. Thank-
And I will just add that you can see that it's gotten real competitive getting this equipment. Of course, we're competing against every other police agency, also wants black vehicles in our case to keep them standardized. And so that's why you see us bringing so much of this right at the beginning, because there's many councils tonight meeting doing the same thing. And so we try to talk with them, secure our fleet, and bring it to you guys and purchase them as soon as we can so we can get them on the road.
I'm sure they, do we ever get outbidded on?
Yes,
things and lose?
recently that happened on a fire SUV. County came in the last day of the budget year, June 30th, and bought 5 of the vehicles and overpaid for them by $5,000 each, and took one of ours. So.
Well, good. Any other questions, comments for the chief?
Chief.
Mr. Rob, no, Dr. Thompson.
Sorry.
Then Mr. Roberts, no, go ahead, Dr. Thompson.
Oh, okay. Chief, I saw some policemen riding around in golf carts. Are they police carts now?
You said ride around
carts,
and
they were in the carts, just like a golf cart.
oh, downtown?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So
about that?
that's part of the downtown patrol division, and that patrol division, particularly when they're out there, is provide proactive police presence and then also to enforce downtown parking. And it's very beneficial. They get to interact with a lot of people, and so we use those on special events as well. Have a couple of them. The fire department has a couple of them as well.
Mr. Roberts?
Chief, are there additional costs beyond this for the upfitting of the vehicles for?
Yes, sir. So we're very fortunate to have a partnership with Anderson County on this. One of our part-time police officers works at radio maintenance, so we are able to utilize him. We're going to buy the equipment, so there will be a savings cost this year of buying equipment only and not having to pay an outfitter to do this.
And
We'll
to
use
answer
the
your
capital
question,
equipment money.
I think that all the equipment cost is just planned in their equipment line budget item for that, and so that's all sitting there already budgeted, and so we'll just draw down from that. And in this case, the turnaround time on the outfitting the vehicles, sometimes we were there in the pandemic facing these vehicles sitting there for 8 months to get outfitted, along with kind of everybody else. And so now we're able to bring some of that back in-house, and so we'll be able to have the equipment, have it in place, and install it quickly.
What's the typical cost of doing that, chief?
Around 5,000, 6,000 vehicle.
Any other
That
questions?
includes the new radio. That's the reason the cost is increased.
And all of that was in the capital replacement fund budget. He's just bringing the portion tonight for the actual vehicle.
Gotcha.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve these vehicles for the police department, and also piggyback on what Dr. Thompson said. You know, it's certainly the golf cart riding around downtown, I think it's not a golf cart, it's some kind of vehicle. But I think it's a great thing to have somebody, because he stops. I saw him today. I was downtown, and they were marking tires, but they were stopping and talking to citizens all up and down Main Street. So with that, I'd make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
First by Mr. Hartman, second by Mr. Steele. Any further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Stands adjourned. That was a lot. We got a lot done tonight. Spent a lot of money. Good. I'd entertain a motion.